have a confession I would like to make. See, once upon a time, I used to believe that my only mission was just to make it into heaven. I didn't see the point of being a devoted Christian because I kept seeing Christians who I felt like were victoriously losing because I only saw a glimpse. I only saw a small picture, not realizing that the purpose of our life is to reflect Christ. But I realized that I was selfish and I was foolish and carnal was my thinking. And the reality is I wasn't awakening to the fact that we had authority and the fact that we can victoriously live. But for some reason, I believe that because we were Christians, that we were immune to turmoil and tragedy. Somehow I believe that caused us to be invisible. Well, I've been awakened to my authority, and I realize there are certain scriptures like we are all overcomers, and that everything works to the good of those who love him, and that he knows the plans he has for me. It is for a prosper and for us to have a plan and a hope and a future. And the reality, my afflictions are only momentary. They don't compare to the glory that will unveil a testimony, a story, a song I will sing all day long, praising my Savior who has delivered me from yet another one. And as I share this confession again, I admit that now I am a matured Christian, and I have continued to taste and see that the Lord is more than good to me, that grace and mercy follow me, awaken me every morning. I can't allow the heaviness of these afflictions to cause me to start tripping or forgetting or not believing in the God who cannot lie, fail, or deny himself. There is no denying the weight of the burden sometimes. There is no comfort in it. But I am comforted in the fact that I can rely everything on him because he says I can cast all things on him. And as I keep my mind stayed on him, he will strengthen me, infuse me with the joy, wrap me in his peace that I don't have to understand what's going on around me. I don't have to know what's going to happen next in this journey because I realize that he's the author and the finisher of my faith, and there's no good thing they will hold from me. I am a daughter. I am called according to his purpose, but that doesn't mean that I will not get nervous. It doesn't mean that sometimes I will not see darkness, but in the midst of not being able to see, I realize that he is with me. I realize in the midst of not being able to hear, I realize that what I just described sometimes when we cannot see and we're immersed in the darkness, that's the definition of faith. Because it's the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. Yes, Christians, we have to learn that we have to, in the midst of the darkness, to rehearse our past victories because it will reveal the undeniable character of God, never changing, all powerful, all knowing. Again, I know deliverance is nigh, or he will give me the strength to overcome. Igniting a fire and authority to speak life and death to anything that is happening. I can loose and bind everything on earth as it is in heaven, but the reality is sometimes don't happen the way I intended. But I have to remember that God is sovereign. And because God is sovereign, I realize I must praise my way through. I must worship my way through. I must go through and remind myself that he is Jehovah Jireh. He is always enough. His grace is sufficient. And the reality is the world will look at that snapshot and think that this is my demise. But David did say that he will set up a table in the midst of my enemies. Afflictions will have everyone have a front row seat, witnessing the glory, the testimony, a story that they will sing all day long about our Savior, now their Savior, causing them to experience favor that will last a lifetime. Again, favor lasts a lifetime. All problems, despair, hardship have an expiration date. I can't let those thoughts get stuck in a place where the coldness seeks to snuff out the warmth of his word. I can't allow the storm to stall and try to silence the guaranteed certainty there is a silver lining. Promises will outshine the aftermath. I will surrender all, which includes my thought patterns. What I think matters, only seek to inhabit the space and resiliency because my feelings and my circumstance do not negate the fact that God's love and mercy and grace is unfailing, unwavering, never ceasing, forever covering. His favor is a shield, my guide, my protection. So despite the weapons that may be formed, I realize that I'm favored. I'm covered in his protection. I realize despite the fact that the weapons are formed, despite the fact that that child that I prayed for is stillborn, or that parent that I prayed for to be healed on the other side isn't, or when the addictions among family members wants to convince me that the devil is control, or when poverty wants to tell me that this is permanent, choking out hope of it breathing again. I remember that the weapons that are formed will not prosper, and I have to keep confessing. I have to keep believing. We are hard pressed on every side and not crushed. We are perplexed and not despair. We are persecuted and not abandoned. We are struck down and not destroyed. We may lose heart and may be outwardly losing away, but the reality is we are renewed day by day. My afflictions don't compare to the glory that will unveil a testimony, a story, praising our Savior who delivered me from another one. Thank you.